we're not gonna listen to the full thing. We're gonna listen to the first little bit though. If you guys want to listen to the full thing, What Culture Gaming is 1.72 million subscribers. I'm sure you guys know. Go ahead and give this a thumbs up. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say this from what I thought about it. The movie, to me, for being Borderlands or what it is, it's too kiddish, right? So you don't ever get to feel like you're in a really crazy rustic world. It seems like it's over the top, which the game is over the top, but the characters don't ever. The writing in this just feels so copy paste from just like. It doesn't hold any weight. It doesn't have any authenticity, and it lacks a soul to me.
Someone had to do it. Someone had to go and see the Borderlands movie to witness it in person, and we're going to do a full
it's ass.
Review, reaction, survivors trip.
I do love Kevin Hart though. Kevin Hart's great, but
I'll touch upon various different things. Full plot spoilers, full everything spoilers. At this point,
they gave Kevin Hart a script as short as he is, and they said, "Yo, we need you to work magic," and he said, "With what?"
You either know you're going to see the Borderlands movie, or you just want to laugh along with everybody else. Now, we wanted to see it in person just for the sake of seeing what state it was in. For the rest of the public. Initial reactions, Josh Brown.
Initial reactions, Scott. Yeah. I think it absolutely sucks, brother. I don't think it's very good at all. Is it good?
I think it absolutely sucks, brother.
No,
it is not as much thought there as in the entire movie.
That was a better gag, I think, and that was a bad gag. Overall, Scott, I feel I didn't come into this movie biased, but I wasn't looking forward to it. Put it that way. I didn't think.
All I'm gonna say is, if someone gags you, it's never a bad gag. I'll take any gag I can get because I don't get any nowadays.
Trailers really appealed. I thought all of the behind-the-scenes goings-ons with a bunch of reshoots with the original director Eli Roth seemingly stepping back from the project and Tim Miller coming in.
And it definitely feels that way.
Screamed like a project, in disaster. But I went in with an open, as much mind as I possibly could, and it was bad, but it was bad in a different way to how I was expecting it to be.
I will say, because I'm a very sweaty man now, inside a basement.
It definitely feels like a story that started and then got scrapped, and they were like, yo, we got to finish this shit. How are we going to do it? Kind of like how the Justice League movie just was kind of like all over the place. This one gave me that same feel.
We couldn't get in the office to record this video. The lock was on, so we had to fight the inside trying to get in to record this thing. And I'm a very sweaty man, but still, in regards to the movie, yes, that's apparently been in development since 2015. And
I didn't realize it was that long.
As Lilith until about 2021, so there was like a 5-6 year period where
but she's awesome. But Cate Blanchett could play. She's
and
great.
Even when you see the finished thing, they still don't really know. The thing that hit me in the face over and over and over again was just how many pieces of cinema they ripped from. Like, there's a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy in here, which people thought from the trailers that there would be anyway, but specific cuts, like we cut to locations with the text along the middle of the screen and a song kicks in. You've got certain comedic beats, certain things that just feel like buddy cop movie 101 type stuff, where a character says, you had a plan, that was your plan, and someone else says, it worked, didn't it? And then we all keep going.
And this also with the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, I don't know what it is, why people are freaking out about this. Concord, if you guys are in gaming, you understand Concord is a game that recently came out, and it was very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, kind of lighthearted, whimsical, and it was just ass. I'm not saying the Guardians of the Galaxy are ass, because Chris Pratt is amazing, Star-Lord's amazing, Groot's amazing, the whole character, but that really was like catching lightning in a bottle, and it seems like they're really trying to recreate that, and it's just like, I think you guys are missing the point of catching lightning in a bottle. It's really kind of hard to replicate.
Scenes that you've seen a million times over, and I also want to touch on the fact that if we're doing like full spoiler stuff, the way that Lilith and Tiny Tina's relationship unfolds is, to me,
spoilers. You should not care. You do not want to see this shit.
It's Joel and Ellie. It's Kratos and Atreus. It's old character has no time for this anymore, but young person wants to do the thing, and they both learn to love it along the way. I thought every single beat of this was as low hanging fruit as you could possibly have done, and I'll be amazed if it does anything for the franchise.
100%. I think.
If anything, I think it pissed me off.
For me going
and
into
I don't play Borderlands,
about
but
it outside of the trailers, I didn't really know what they were going for, tone-wise or story-wise. I assumed it would be similar to an MCU-style movie.
Yes.
But what surprised me right from the opening is that it skews younger than that. I genuinely think this is targeted towards kids, like kids.
Like if
kids,
you like the
it feels
Minions,
like a kid's
it
movie.
feels like this.
Not just
They're
in terms
targeting
of,
the
like,
Minions.
humor or anything, but like the storytelling, the way the characters are introduced, and then the humor and the performances on top of that. I am surprised that they've picked this property, which is so known for guns and violence and what have you. And
That's what I'm saying.
diluted it so much. It genuinely, for good or bad, I'm not even using this necessarily as a criticism, but it feels like kids bop Borderlands, and they could do something with that. That's not me saying all kids movies are bad. Like, you can have that younger tone and still nail something really cool. Some of my favorite movies ever are aimed towards a younger audience, but I don't think this hits it. I think it's really trying to toe the line for getting that younger audiences in, but then trying to appeal to fans of the original game who would be our age and older, and I don't think it's going to work from them on a humor or story level, because like you said, it is so basic in terms of how it rolls out its tropes, in terms of how it tells this story, in terms of the characterization. It is
totally agree.
one in many script writing ways, and that's what fundamentally killed it dead for me. If I laughed a few times, Scott, I'm not against like schlock, I'm not against like juvenile stuff. I just watched
for sure
Deadpool and Wolverine a few weeks ago and came out of it absolutely laughing my
I need to
backside
actually
off
watch that
this and
movie.
really
I can't
loving
believe I
it.
watched this
That's
before
not
that.
the issue here. It's the issue that the jokes are bad and the script is bad and there's nothing really to hold on to with the characters.
Yeah, like that little front flip somersault into the TNT. That's exactly what you get through the movie this entire time. And I don't want to keep pausing them. It's a long video. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I'll leave the link to the video if you want to watch the whole thing. These guys are great. And they basically, it just sums down to, they took an IP that was supposed to be, guns a-blazing, adult theme, not adult theme, but like, more adult theme. It's guns, blazing, over the top. There's death. There's a lot of different shit in the world of Borderlands. And they just watered it down so much and gave us character introductions that were so for kids cartoons, which is not bad. I don't like Avatar: The Last Airbender would be seen as a kids cartoon, but it has adult themes and adult lessons in it, and it seems like there was no adult lessons in this, and it was just this over the top movie where as the guy says, the young girl, she wants to go out and attack the world, and the old man, and Kevin Hart's already been there, he's done that, and he feels like he's begrudgingly along the way, but then as he realizes, it's not that bad. Like that's what we're getting out of it. It doesn't give you any type of mental stimulus, which I'm not saying movies you need to go in there and have to like think and like undercover. Like there's definitely movies where you want to kick back and relax. But this just felt like a movie where you couldn't even kick back and relax. It was just so over the top, you couldn't help but just make fun of it.
Real build up to what the hell this thing's going to be, other than just mentioning that there'll be superpowers inside it. And we'll get back to that stuff. But the cast as well. There's a feeling across the board here that no one wanted to make this movie. Watching it play out, I think the set designers did, and I think the costume designers did. And someone loved the idea of Cate Blanchett as Lilith, because there are a million shots like this, just full-on profile, slow motion, look at her posing type shots, which fair enough, she looks awesome enough in the role.
She's great.
But the cast itself and the attitude here and the way that it's written, everyone who is an older cast member is saying, I can't be bothered to do this, including Lilith from the very beginning of the movie, just saying, I'm too old for this, I don't want to do it. And being dragged to Pandora, being dragged through this experience, which I think it never leaves. It always feels like a movie that is forcing its way through, whether it's comedically or action set pieces.
Yeah,
it is like missing that moment. It's missing the moment where the characters who do feel like they're just being dragged along the way. There's never that moment where they're like, you know what, this is bigger than me. This is maybe for somebody else on the team. And now we, instead of being dragged along the way, let's see this through, not just for me, but for passing of the torch, right? And I think that could be that's a low-hanging fruit lesson that was just completely just said, nope.
Yeah, 100%. I love Cate Blanchett, and maybe I'm giving her and the character a lot of leeway just because I'm such a fan of hers, and I think she can make, gold out of a bit of dirt in the ground for my money, and I think she's maybe the best in here, and she definitely gets the best out of the material she's given, and the movie itself, like you said, is definitely trying to set her up as this confident main character action badass, and they achieve that within the context of the movie. I think, you know, she's the only one who has an interesting fighting style, for instance, before the powers even come into it that we associate with Lilith. Like, even her weapons are more unique in her little way of shooting.
Remember whenever we used to do that in movies? Like throwing bullets.
She's always twirling revolvers, and it's like
shooting that way.
It's not much, but in comparison to, say, Kevin Hart's Roland, and I don't think it's Kevin Hart's fault, but who is just
he's horrible.
He's guy with machine gun, and he doesn't get anything to do with that because the filmmakers don't seem to be interested in making any of his action scenes interesting. He's just very much the straight guy
with
a machine gun. And
You're telling me Kevin Hart, a very alpha male, a very confident male figure, can't have a confident, like, strong role in Hollywood right now? Of course not. If you're a dude and you're like an alpha, you're not going to get any type of role right now because it feels like there's so much woke propaganda that's being forced down your throat. Come at me if you feel like I'm wrong.
In terms of the quips. Then you've got this older kind of like, I'm done with this.
Like bounty hunter.
Kind of bounty hunter badass, like I said, who comes into it. You've got the young, snarky kid who is tinkering with explosives and is always sarcastic and is always confident. And then you've got the big Drax-like brute, who again is sub-Drax because he doesn't have a personality on top of just being a big, dumb, psycho brute. And it's like, okay, they're fine caricatures, but the film doesn't really do much with them, doesn't give you any gags to kind of hold on to, and you're trying to look for something interesting in all of them that just, for me, doesn't arrive because it's really not interested in. I don't want top-tier characterization or character development, but I need something, Scott. I need Kevin Hart to make some funny jokes, or at least convince me as an action hero.
You see what I'm saying?
Whereas now I think he's somewhere in the middle where he doesn't get the action set pieces to make you think, oh, this Roland guy is someone who is, you know, really confident and really great and an elite soldier, as they describe him, but he's not funny enough either to bring some levity to Cate Blanchett's, like, more hardened persona.
No.
It's weird.
They cut away from the bit that could have been his crowning scene. They have a whole bit where he gets overrun by too many psychos or raiders. That's like pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I'll probably get killed
in regards to the way that
yeah.
scene goes.
Yeah.
But the way that they played out in the movie anyway, he gets overwhelmed by a whole bunch of bodies, and then they cut away. They do a whole thing where he's like, save yourselves, I'm fine, the hero sacrifice, we're going into the final third, so we need a hero sacrifice type thing, and then you just cut away from that. He's dead for about as long as Chewbacca was in Rise of Skywalker, like 5 minutes or whatever it is, and then you have Lilith say, hey, don't worry, he's an elite soldier, and then we just cut back and he's fine, climbing back out the body. He's like, what's even the point of doing that? Like, there are so many bits like that where you've seen these beats before, but they're so condensed, including the transition from Lilith becoming, is it Firehawk?
Firehawk,
becoming
the siren,
the siren, like the protector of the planet or whatever, which obviously was a big deal in the game, or games rather, but the way that they do it here is just sort of like, hey, there's an artifact and she knows where it is, it resonates, and then a whole bunch of flashbacks. She can teleport now, she can interact with the vault door, and now she's the Firehawk. What did you think of the effects, I guess?
The effects were rubbish. The effects were absolutely awful.
I feel like I could see the guy pulling the wire to like crank her up to fly.
Yeah, I said to you before we started recording, it's both extremely expensive in terms of the production, yet extremely cheap. Like, there were times where I thought the effects and the backdrops, especially to create Pandora in some of the
I'm sure that looked great. The set designers, I'm sure, popped off. They cooked
better than I was expecting based on the trailers, but then you can see the quality dip. Whether that was because they're reshoots or whether they're just because you got to the end of the movie and just ran out of time. We know how VFX works on these big budget movies. It takes a noticeable dive, and to me, like you said, I do think the set designers and the costume designers are definitely trying their best, but again, it's the way the film shot and lit. Like, I didn't think any of the actual practical
one was there.
environments. No. Well, I thought even the ones that they did make, because you can tell when they're trying to make like a bit of rock, so you have a bit of physicality in the scene. Like, that looks, and if you've seen this, you'll know, like the Descent Part 2, in terms of just not being convincing. It looks like they're on a film set and there's a green screen behind them. Like, I wasn't convinced that any part of the environment or terrain was actually part of a planet. It just so looks like a studio lot. I think that doesn't necessarily hurt it, because overall there's this real cartoonish vibrant energy to the visuals. Like, it looks like Power Rangers, it looks like like they're toys, and I think that's the intent, again, because I think this is going for that younger audience, but it doesn't make for compelling visuals. But actually, I know I'm rambling. No,
I don't even know if the younger audience is going to resonate with this, and the people who play the games, it doesn't resonate for us, because I'm that demographic, I'm that age group of Borderlands, and the movie was not for me. But I'm gonna leave a link to this when this comes out as a YouTube video. So if you guys want to watch the full video, you guys go ahead and click the link. Those guys are great. We'll go ahead and give them a little like. But